Good morning. Yeah, got a little bit of State Farm and a little neighbor. Sorry, I had to do a little bit of Arnold there. But good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day on a Tuesday, February the 20th, 2024. We're already almost past 2 months here in 2024. I'm telling you, they always say when you get older, things move quickly. And that is the truth, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the truth. Things move faster. And it was President's Day yesterday. Hope everyone was able to enjoy that day. Um, there was a lot of stuff on YouTube about like who was the best president, who was the worst president, and it's a bunch of bias BS. It's a bunch of biased BS. And the funny thing about this BS situation is that it's just not just in politics. It's in music. It's in movie. Honestly, it's not really that much in music, actually, because you can like all kinds of genres of music and be fine. No one really questions that. Movies can be in that similar situation, but people like to think that they're a movie critic and they come on and they will say bad things about a person being casted as this person or that person being casted here. They think that person should be this. I think that person should be that. And what's interesting about the situation is that what I'm about to get into, and you see the title right here, it says pro wrestling fans could never be happy and why. Well, cock jerkers, there's a reason why wrestling fans are never ever truly satisfied, why they're never truly happy. It's because every one of them has an opinion like an asshole. Everyone's got one. Their opinions vary about who the greatest wrestler is of all time, or what their favorite promotion was. Was it WCW? Was it ECW? Was it WWE? Was it TNA? Was it AEW? It's a thing that's been going around for years. But when I've been to some couple of conventions and I've talked to a couple of wrestling minds, I've talked to like Jim Cornette, I've talked to a couple of former wrestlers, and they've all told me that one of the main reasons why wrestling is such a toxic place is because of what we're on right now, the internet. Some of y'all know that I have a TikTok. It's a Big Kev's World. So nice little cheap plug right there, right? But there's a couple of people on there that I follow that does, wrestling content on TikTok, and they talk about, certain situations they like, and some of them are females. This one girl in particular who's her IQ about the business is top notch. I'm talking about this girl knows exactly what she's talking about. She understands the business. She understands the past, the present, and the future. She knows about wrestlers from the 70s and the golden era and the Monday Night War era. I don't like to call it the Attitude Era because it's the Monday Night War era. And that's something else I want to talk about too. Is I'll get to that later. But she was talking about, she knows a lot of stuff, but she judges wrestlers. I know some of you are not going to like this. She judges wrestlers by looks. And yes, looks. Now, and I've seen some guys on there attack her because right now, unfortunately, she is in love with Cody Rhodes. She thinks the American Nightmare is this most attractive thing ever. But that's her opinion, though, right? That's her judgment, right? So why are people questioning it? But there's men that come on there that start questioning, saying that she's an idiot, she's stupid, doesn't know anything about the business. But I'm sitting there thinking, aren't we the same model? Ain't we the same mofos who used to goo goo and gaga over Lita and Trish Stratus, and we talk about how good Rhea Ripley, mommy's ass is, and all that stuff? We the same motherfucking people. So where's the misconception with that? Same principle, just different. But the toxic, man. There was one time on TikTok, I did a trolling TikTok. So they said who the GOAT is in professional wrestling, and I said it wasn't John Cena, and it wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin, that it was Hulk Hogan. You ought to saw the backlash of all this negative, nasty comments. It was funny, but the negative comments to it, and everybody just hates Hulk Hogan because of one little. Well, some people hate Hogan because of how he held people back and how he did these things, but at the same time, though, they talk about, well, he's a racist and blah 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 blah. But I'm like, but isn't there a thing in life called redemption? Isn't there a thing in life called forgiveness? Isn't there a thing in life called moving the fuck on? There are things like that in this business, in this world, in this life. The man paid his dues. He was taken away from the Hall of Fame. He was gone for a while. Grow up and get the fuck over it. That's how I'm looking at it right now. Now, the Vince McMahon situation's a lot different because I believe that's been that way for a very long time, and Vince hasn't really gotten what he deserves. He really hasn't been punished for his sins or punished for his crimes, but he ought to be, and I hope he is. But I believe things can be forgivable. Things can be salvaged. His will not be salvaged, and it will not be forgiven. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that digress with the whole Vince thing, and I will dive into a Vince video again later on. But getting back to my original thing is about pro wrestling fans. You see, WWE made a thing in WrestleMania 30. Let's go back to WrestleMania 30. They bring back in Dave Bautista. Wins the Royal Rumble. It's going to be a match between Randy Orton and Dave Bautista for the belts. WrestleMania main event. And around that time is when Daniel Bryan emerges. Bryan Danielson, to you AEW fans, who emerges, and they have the yes movement and the crowd's hijacking, doing all this stuff, and they bring Daniel Bryan into the main event. And a lot of us that were here on the YWC really didn't specifically like the fact that Daniel Bryan was in the main event because we knew that he couldn't stay healthy. And what happened? After about a month or two, he was on the shelf and had to relinquish the belts. The problem is, most of these wrestlers are kind of like a flavor of the month, flavor of the week. And people want to know why some of us casual or old wrestling fans like certain wrestlers that we do, or why we tune in when our favorites come in. Because wrestling's lost it's lost that mystique. And I give Triple H all the credit in the world because he's trying to keep things on a low profile. CM Punk coming back at Survivor Series, and it was talked about, but no one didn't really think it was going to happen. That was cool, entertaining, because it's like, wow, all right, Punk's back. I never thought he'd be back here. And that's why you can really never say never in this business, because there's a lot of bad blood there between CM Punk and WWE there for a long, long time. But he was there. Wrestling has missed the mark, and I feel like wrestling fans have caused a lot of the decline on the ratings of certain business, and that's just the thing. I mean, I know Dave Meltzer's been around for a long time. Everybody knows that. The wrestling newsletter and all that has been around for a while. But these dirt sheets, these websites, getting dirt on certain things about why a wrestler was in town. Oh my God, we saw The Undertaker in Boston, and Survivor Series is in Boston. You know, I'm just throwing that out there as a paraphrase here. And it's like, you're taking that away because, let's say, for example, that was supposed to be a surprise and you saw him there. And then you take a picture and then you show that, hey, he was on the airport with him and Michelle McCool. And then you post it on there. So now if he shows up on that, it's not a surprise anymore. And that's where, when the Monday Night Wars happened, we had the internet, but it wasn't as that big of a juggernaut as it is now. And we were able to be surprised. And, you know, with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash left WWF and went to WCW, at that time, we were all thinking the same exact thing. We want Cody. Hey, you're getting Cody at WrestleMania 40. He's facing Roman Reigns for the world title. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Cool. But, you know, when you had the internet wasn't around much then. So when you saw like people like Hall and Nash come to WCW, they come to WCW, it was, you had to do a double take because you didn't realize, wow, okay, these guys were just on WWF and now they're here on WCW. What the fuck's going to happen here now? And them going to WCW and then Hogan turning heel would end up making the NWO. That's what changed. I believe that's what changed the landscape of pro wrestling. Because if WCW didn't do the realism back then, if they didn't change and had the NWO when they first started, there would be no Attitude Era. There would be no Stone Cold. There would be no Rock. There would still be a Monday Night War, but there wouldn't be where it is today. And then plus you had ECW at the time, and you had them doing hardcore, outlandish stuff. But yeah, you have all those people who were WWE had to change. WWF at that time had to change. And why they had to change? They had to change for the better. For 83 weeks, WCW kicked their ass. And people want to go ahead and you can clarify it all you want. It's in the history. It's in the book. You can look it up. You can Google that shit, and it's there. Let's see what we got here. Ramsey. We want Cody. Rocky sucks. Roman sucks. LA Knight. Yeah. And that's his opinion. That's the thing about professional wrestling that I think a lot of fans have misplaced. And I'm glad he made those little comments in the comment section, because that's what's supposed to be great about this business. We're supposed to like who we like And if we like that person, the hell if anyone else doesn't like them. Fuck it. A lot of the old school fans who are tuning in now to watch WWE are big Rock fans. They like Dwayne Johnson. They grew up liking The Rock. They like what The Rock does when on the mic. They like what The Rock brings, that charisma, that he's a big star. He brings in the tension. Whether you like him or you don't is a totally different ballgame. Whether you like the fact that he came in and then tried to take that main event away from Cody and use his TKO board of directors stock that he bought is irrelevant. I'm just right now as a wrestling fan who I've for 42 years on this earth watching wrestling with my dad, watching wrestling with my family back in the day as a kid, learning more about how wrestling was in the 60s and the 70s, and then learning going through the golden era in the 80s. Yeah. Honestly, thank you, Desert Eagle. Shout out to my man up there in Philadelphia, Mr. Desert Eagle. Much love there, bro. But whether you like The Rock or you don't, it's got everybody talking. When he came out in January, early January on Raw, and he made that comment of saying, do you want The Rock to sit at a booth? Do you want The Rock to sit at the bar? Or do you want The Rock to sit at the head of the table? Everybody cheered in that arena. They went nuts. And I understand that some fans are like, wow, well, if he wanted to be in the main event, he could have won the Royal Rumble. He could have entered the Rumble and won it. But let me ask some fans this question. How do we not know how do we know for sure if Cody was supposed to win the Rumble? Who knows that Punk might have been the one that was supposed to win the Rumble, but because he got hurt during the Rumble, they called an audible. And now Punk's out for 6 to 8 months with a torn tricep. That's the thing that we don't know, and we never will know if that happened. But Punk was on that collision course to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight title. I think we all can agree on that was supposed to happen. Punk got hurt. Everything changed. Then Brock was in that scandal with Vince. Then Brock got gone. And then you start looking at yourself. You're like, we're in WrestleMania 40. It's already sold out in Philadelphia. And that Lincoln Financial Field is beautiful there. I've been to Philadelphia a few times with my wife. It's a beautiful, that is a beautiful building, beautiful stadium. And I know how rowdy those Philadelphia crowds going to be. I mean, you remember when Roman Reigns won the Rumble in 2015 and The Rock came out to help him? They still booed Roman Reigns even with The Rock in there. So Philadelphia is going to be a little bit different. Let me see what you said here. I said the same thing. That was always part of the story. People always overreacting. Why do you think Cody, for the most part, is going along with it? Exactly. Thank you. Yes. It's all about storytelling. And I think a lot of wrestling fans forget that that's what this business is. Yeah, you're supposed to get in that 20 by 20 ring. You're supposed to perform each and every night. True. But right now, since Triple H has took over in late 2022, ticket sales have been up, merchandise has been up, house shows have been up. They've been selling out stadiums all across the world, fitting 40, 50, 60, 70,000 plus people. Why wouldn't The Rock want to join in on that? Why would not? I mean, Dwayne Johnson's a businessman, first and foremost. The man When he sees something, he's going to dip his toes in it. And I know people are saying, "Oh, Rock's 51, blah blah blah," but the Rock's a fucking fantastic looking guy at 51 years old. All right, and that's saying something. Cause I'm 42, and I'm still in the gym, but you see a guy like The Rock, you're like, The Rock's on a whole different stratosphere than the rest of the people on the roster. That SmackDown promo he had, where he had like the whole the old 90s corporate ministry, the Versace shirts. He kind of had it like cut there, and he looked like the Hollywood Rock. And he came out there and he was roasting Utah, roasting their fans and stuff like that. The fact that he came in there and demanded that immediate reaction tells you everything that you need to know about this business. There's just some things about The Rock that you can't understand. He's in a totally different when he came in there to talk to everybody on SmackDown, the bloodline standing right there. When he was on the mic, you forgot that Roman Reigns was standing there with that world title. I forgot Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman and Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa were even standing there. Because that's how big of a star The Rock is. And I know there's some fans who think, well, what about building new stars? We don't need these part-timers. We don't need these guys from the past to come back and do this thing. But I'm looking at it like this. If a guy like Austin, if a guy like The Rock, and a guy like all those guys in the past that we used to watch, if they feel like they can still compete, let them. Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, he broke several times. I mean, Jimmy Uso was actually pretty entertaining when the Rock's promos were happening. I'm gonna be honest with you. But here, this is what smart of a guy The Rock is. Now, do I like my only problem with this whole situation was, and I'll be honest with you, when I saw that SmackDown and Cody saying, well, I'm going to take everything from you, but I'm not going to do it at WrestleMania, and then The Rock comes out, I was excited, yes, and the whole Birmingham, Alabama was excited about seeing The Rock and Roman staring down each other, looking at each other. I was mad about the fact that, like, you just had the man win his second Royal Rumble back to back, the fourth man to do it in wrestling in WWE history. And you basically are letting him step aside for The Rock because it didn't make any sense at the time. But you know what? Now that I kind of sit there, I pondered on it, and I thought to myself, it wasn't supposed to make sense. What's going on is a bigger story that we as wrestling fans don't even know what's about to happen. And that's what makes me intrigued about this. Because then they did the press conference in Las Vegas. And then Roman chooses The Rock. And then Cody comes out and said, this is bullshit. And then they get into a little talk, and then talks about Peter Maivia, High Chief Peter Maivia. And The Rock pretty much says, you talk about my ancestors. And bitch smacks Cody right in the face. But that day, when The Rock was on the Pat McAfee show, The Rock knew the crowd was changing. So he pivots. The one thing about him is that a lot of guys, there's a lot of guys in his business that don't understand it. Hogan understands it. Flair understands it. Austin understands it. The Rock understands it. There's a couple of cats in this business that understands it. When the crowd changes their reaction, you pivot. You don't stay the course, you change that course. And that's why I feel like The Rock changed that course. But here's something for you guys. Who's to say when The Rock and Cody were in the ring at SmackDown and he shook Rock's hand and they gave each other that hug, we don't even know what Rock was whispering to Cody's ear. And Cody, remember, before that, Cody said, I'm going to take everything from you. Who's to say The Rock and Cody aren't working together? Who's to say that? I'm just saying. I know some people talked about it, but who's to say that ain't happening? Because when The Rock did that promo on SmackDown, go back and watch the promo on SmackDown. When he said he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that Cody doesn't win. And when he said that I'm going to make sure that you're going to lose, he turns around and points at Roman Reigns. And then when they did the end of the segment, when they did the one, The Rock went, that. It's an intriguing idea because you don't know whether or not The Rock might just screw Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. And then we might build a WrestleMania 41. It might be Roman and Rock then. Hell, from what I hear in his little deal with TK Holdings, that $30 million stock thing that he got, The Rock's agreed to do more than one match. So I think what the wrestling fans need to do is pipe the fuck down. It's a storytelling business. They're taking you on a ride. Just get on that ride and enjoy it. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting on a ride and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying what's about to happen. And, you know, I know some people are like, well, The Rock came back. He took Cody's spot. He took Cody's spot. Did he really, though? I mean, honestly, look at yourself. Think of yourself in the mirror. Do you really honestly think he took it from Cody? There's a bigger picture in this whole situation that me, Desert Eagle, and all these guys who love professional wrestling, we don't know. And that's what it's supposed to be. You can have all these dirt sheets. You can have the Dave Meltzers in the world and the little cornflakes and the little popcorn farts out there doing all their stuff about what they think should happen. WWE is in the business of making money. They're making more money in the last 2 or 3 years. They're on a hot streak. Despite the ratings what they are. WWE is going to Australia this weekend, and they've already sold out that stadium with 60,000 plus people for an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Shawn Michaels is killing it in NXT. Triple H has changed the creative aspects to WWE. Sure, there's some flaws that you can see in Triple H's approach to things. I mean, not to be mean, but Becky Lynch's promos are very cringe-worthy kind of promos. I ain't gonna lie about that. But I kind of had more time to look at it, and I've had more time to study it because at first I was just like other people. I was pissed that why would you put Cody in the Rumble, have him win it, and then basically go, well, I don't want to challenge you at WrestleMania 40, and then let this guy come in and do it. But then I started to ponder. I started thinking back, and I'm like, you know, this is intriguing. All right, let's see what's going to happen first before we make any hasty decisions. And the crowd, now Las Vegas crowd, they were kind of split. They were chanting Rocky, and then they were chanting Rocky sucks. Now, last Raw, not this month, not yesterday, but the week before, there was some pipe chants with the Rocky sucks. And I know there was some pipe chants. I know that'll be put that in there because we don't hate legends. true wrestling fans, we don't hate legends. We respect them. We admire them. They're part of our childhood. They're part of our teenage years. When I see Ric Flair, even though Ric Flair is like almost about to be 80 years old, and Ric Flair should not have any business being in the ring anymore, but when you see him show up, you got respect for him because you're like, wow, this man went to war. He's been bloodied. He's put his body on the line. When you see Hogan, when you see Undertaker, you see Stone Cold, you see all these Sting. Look what Sting's doing in AEW, jumping off of the top of buildings and ladders and going through tables and stuff like that. And that's at 60-something years old. You gotta have respect for that. And the wrestling fans out there now, they have so much ADD and ADHD, they can't just change on it. Let me ask some of these wrestling fans this question. Say, for example, Cody does finish his story. WrestleMania 40, he finished his story. He finally beats Roman Reigns for that championship. How long will it be till you guys start turning on Cody Rhodes? How long will you start turning on Cody Rhodes? Because it's going to happen. Sup, Steven? It's going to happen. You guys are going to turn on Cody Rhodes. Yeah, it's an early stream. I've been up early. Figured I would just come on. I'm just saying, guys, how long will it be until they start turning on Cody? It won't take long. Because the wrestling fans today, compared to what we were going through, it's like a flavor of the week for them. It's like a flavor of the month. It's like, I like that flavored ice cream. Well, they go back to Baskin Robbins or Dairy Queen. They go, well, I don't like that chocolate flavor anymore. I want some strawberry. And then later it's gonna be like, nah, I'm kind of back to vanilla. And then that's what's going on with this fucking business. And that's why companies like WWE and AEW can't go past a certain level. And even the new TNA can't go past a certain level because people bitch and complain so damn much. And I'm like, just sit there, enjoy the show. If you love wrestling, enjoy the show. Get to be entertained. Have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. Seriously, shut the fuck up. It's in that situation now where you got all these people who are, they all rioted. And the fact that some of you even threatening The Rock's daughter, and she had to close her Twitter account because you guys were threatening her. Those are the fans that take it a little too far. Those are the marks. Those are the ones that are like, you take this from Cody, you son of a bitch. Wah. Nothing's being taken from Cody. Cody is going along with this ride. Roman Reigns is going along with this ride. Looks like Seth freaking Rollins is in this thing. So Seth Rollins is going along with this ride. The Rock's going along with this ride. Triple H is going along with this ride. So everybody else needs to do the exact same thing. Let me see what you said here, Desert Eagle. They complain all the time, no matter how satisfying it is. But hey, still put in their time to watch and buy all their gear. Cue the Cope song. Yeah. You know what's interesting is that when I go to some of these wrestling shows here in Nashville, the fans are awesome. They all get along. They all talk about wrestling while we're waiting to go into the building. They're all there talking about stories. They're talking about matches that they like, and no one's saying a bad word to another person. So it's not really the wrestling fans that are inside those buildings or actually watches the show. It's the damn toxic wrestling fans who think they can say whatever the fuck they want because it's an internet and they can get away with whatever they want to get away with. It's the ones who really don't care about wrestling at all. They're just being trolls and trying to change the narrative because it makes them feel good. That's what we're dealing with. That's the problem in this business right now. It's these people who are like, who run, I used to run an EFED. And I was a part of an EFED. But there was always people that had that attitude that was bigger than you. And they're like, well, I need to be in the main event. Well, I've been paying my dues. I need to be in the main event. Oh, really? Sorry, guys. Elimination Chamber is this Saturday. But since they're going to be in Australia, the time change is going to be a little different. So, yeah, I don't know for sure the time. So you might have to Google that or look it up or something like that. Let's see here. Yeah, they did the Rock thing on purpose. And a lot of it had to do with the fact of the Vince McMahon scandal. And I believe that. Exactly. People forget that Triple H comes from the era that we all love, the Monday Night Wars. So obviously he's going to have some shock value. No one really thought that Punk was going to show up at Survivor Series, but hey, he showed up at Survivor Series. It was a shock value. People talked about it, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Right. Let's see what you say here, Steven. Everyone knows that they want Cody to beat Roman. That's about to create the buzz. Exactly. Now, I'm a big fan of LA Knight. LA Knight's got a lot of talent, a lot of potential. And he reminds me of guys from back in the day. WWE has put a lot of money and effort into Cody Rhodes. Now, some people may not like Cody. They may think he's bland. They may not like his promos. They may not like him in the ring. But nobody can't deny that match between him and Roman Reigns last year was off the chains. It was. People can say what they want, but they mixed very well, style by style, in that ring last year. No one's denying that. But you got some wrestling fans who are denying that because they just want to piss off Cody fans and they just kind of stick it to them. So that's the situation there. They just want to stick it to the wrestling. They just want to stick it to you. It's all WWE right now is the biggest troll ever. If you think that The Rock's showing up during the writer's strike or the Actors Guild strike in October, that was a seed that was planted. Then he was on the Pat McAfee show then. The seed was planted then. If you go back and you watch the Young Rock show on NBC that was on Peacock, there's an episode where a young Rock and a young Roman Reigns are talking about how they dream about having a WrestleMania match. So the seed was planted for a long time. Some people just didn't pay attention. And who's to say that we won't still get Rock and Roman? That could still happen this year. I mean, I understand the concerns that some fans have. Yeah, Cody being 93 and 2K is valid. Absolutely. Absolutely valid. And that's why I don't understand why everybody's like so up in arms about this. I'm just like, look, we're wrestling fans. If you're a wrestling fan, you just want to be tuned in. You want to see what's about to happen. And you want to be entertained. That's all I want in this whole situation is to be entertained, no matter what happens. And I know some people are like, well, what happens if Cody doesn't win at WrestleMania? What if they decide to have Roman Reigns break Hogan's record and go into September as champion? That could still happen. Even with The Rock or without The Rock in the picture, that still could have happened. And I'll be honest with you, and I know that they're talking about that behind the scenes. That's still being talked about. So while wrestling fans are making this case about we want Cody, we want this, I know some of them feel entitled because you got those fans that are going to be like, well, I pay for the tickets. I pay for the merchandise. I pay for the video games. I do this. I should be able to say and get whatever I want. That's what I'm thinking too, Desert Eagle. I don't think Cody gets the belt until this summer or late. Because I really still think there's a story to be told. Hold on a second. There's a story to be told with Roman and Rock as well. There's still a big story to be told with that, and I don't know. But wrestling fans some wrestling fans on there need to chill the fuck out. And I don't know. I know some of you. I know both of y'all have. I know Steven and Desert Eagle. I know y'all both have TikToks. I do believe. But the toxicity in that place about wrestling is horrible. It's worse than it is on YouTube, and that says a lot. You know, you got wrestling fans who are females who are two girls I know on there are pretty fucking knowledgeable about this business. And it astonishes me how smart they are and how well they know this business. But because they got their favorites about who they think is cute, they get attacked. But I'm sitting there thinking, well, aren't we the same motherfuckers who thought Stacy Keibler had the greatest legs in the world? Weren't we the guys that were looking at Trish Stratus and Lita and going, hey man, women need their eye candy too. That's how I look at it. Leon said that's the problem with WWE fans specifically. They think they're entitled to everything just because of certain things. Yep. Yeah, well, you know what, Desert Eagle, I was thinking about trying to possibly get rid of mine too, because I mean there's too much shit for this old brain to kind of follow. I mean, it's like one trend hits and everybody starts doing it. It's just subconsciously how this thing works nowadays with some people's brains. But you know what, Leon? I don't think it's WWE fans specifically that are doing this. I think it's just you got those particular wrestling fans who think that not only everything is real, everything is a mark to them, everything is You're taking away, if you take away from Cody, you're taking away from their livelihood. It's like they live themselves into these wrestlers and into these stories, and they think it's about them. Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing, guys. It's the toxicity and the stuff with TikTok. I mean, I just go on there now and I have like a little TikTok. I find a funny video and I'll send it to a friend and they'll send it back to me, and it's just. But honestly, it's the it's those particular wrestling fans that makes some of us want to pull our hair out. It makes us. I'm like, it's almost like you can't have nice things without somebody bitching about something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just be like, look, okay, you don't have, some of you who are not happy about The Rock being bad, you don't have to be happy. But you can't deny that he's going to have new eyes on the prize. You can't deny the star power this man's got, whether you like him or you don't. That man brings in a whole set of eyes to this business. And TK Holdings, Endeavor, we all know they own WWE. We all know they own UFC. They're all about making money. I know some people think money is the root of all evil, and it can be. But while this is sports entertainment, it's also a business. Some people think with their hearts, and they don't think with their minds. They think with their hearts. They think with their reaction. And I used to be that guy. I used to think, wear the heart on my sleeve and just think with emotion and reaction. But you gotta slow it down and think about it business wise. Business wise, it's great to have The Rock a part of WWE right now. Business wise, it's good for The Rock to be a part of WrestleMania 40. And it's intriguing because you don't know what's going to happen night one. The rumor is it's going to be Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth night one at the main event. That might happen. Who's to say that it won't be Cody versus The Rock versus Roman in triple threat? I know that Dave Meltzer and all them guys saying, well, from my sources, I heard that's not going to happen. Everything pivots. Everything is what you call subject to change. When you go to a concert and you go to like a sporting event, there's always that little thing in the fine print of the ticket says subject to change. And that's what's going on with WWE right now. It's subject to change. Triple H is going to put on what he feels like is the best card for WrestleMania 40. And when you had Punk out for 6 to 8 months, that put a stinger into your plans. Because I truly believe at the bottom of my heart, I felt like Punk was supposed to win the Rumble. I don't think Cody was supposed to win this Rumble. I think when Punk got hurt during the Rumble, they called an audible and Cody won. Now some people are like, well, why couldn't they just call an audible and let Drew win? They could have. But I think what happened was Punk got hurt. And I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong about this. But in my personal opinion, I feel like Punk was supposed to win the Rumble. Punk got hurt. During the match, they called an audible, and Cody won it. I know some fans are looking at it like, well, why couldn't they just have The Rock come into the Rumble at number 30 and eliminate everybody? And they could have done that. And I can understand the backlash from certain fans about that because they're like, well, what was The Rock doing that day? He's not filming anything right now. Why couldn't he just come in there and done that? And you have every right to feel the way you do. And I'm not saying these fans don't have a right to feel the way they do, because it's your opinion. That's what it is an opinion. Like mine's an opinion, like Steven Rose's an opinion, like Leon's an opinion. It's all an opinion, guys. It's opinion based. No one's right, no one's wrong. But I do agree with Leon. You got some fans out there who feel like their opinion should matter more than anyone else's. And that's not how this works. This is not how life works. It's not how the business works. You know, when I'm at my job, there could be times where I have an idea and another coworker might have another idea. And they go with the other person's idea. You sit back and you watch it, and you look, Later on, you might be like, okay, that flopped. Or you might be like, maybe that guy had the right idea this whole time and maybe I was wrong. Or maybe both of your ideas were right. They just happened to go with that person's idea. Wrestling used to be one of those things where it was a pastime that I had with my dad. When my dad passed away, even my dad watched all the. I didn't watch wrestling much there the last couple of years. I mean, I kept up with it, saw clips on YouTube, and that's all I got. But my dad was one of those stone cold hardcore guys that still watched it even when he was sick. And it doesn't matter. And see you, Desert. Unfortunately, I have the day off today, so but you go do it, brother. But yeah, my dad was one of those hardcore guys that still kept watching it, even though it was crappy. My dad still watched it. He didn't critique it. He just loved the business. He just loved wrestling. Didn't matter to him. Didn't matter to him who was the champion. Didn't matter to him who was writing the shit. It didn't matter at all. Now, clearly there's a difference with the writing between Vince and Triple H. Clearly there's a difference. When you see AEW side, the difference with that is that you just have an idiot in Tony Khan who can't seem to get out of his own head. Tony Khan, like I said, needs to allow guys to come in there that know how to write and know how to direct the show. All he needs to do is be in the back, sit at that table, be the guy who signs the paychecks, and do his thing. But for all you guys out there who were... See, I don't consider those people wrestling fans. The ones that were threatening The Rock and threatening The Rock's daughter. You're not a wrestling fan. You're just a fucking... You're just a fucking shit freak. That's all you are. You know, and that's the thing is, those are people who think the business is real and that it matters to me. It matters to me. Those are the ones that are that way. But I feel like as wrestling fans, if we just learn to chill, and just go with the ride that you're about to go on for WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania has always been one of the biggest events ever in professional wrestling. I think we all can agree on that. And WrestleMania 39 was actually one of the best WrestleManias in a long, long time, and that didn't even have The Rock or Stone Cold in it. It had Brock Lesnar and John Cena. And Cena was on night one, and Brock was on night two, and Cena was actually the second, or like he was the first or second match of the show. And I get the wrestling fans that want them to build new stars and they want them to do that. And it's hard to do that when you got guys who want to come back, and it's like they want to come back during WrestleMania and take spots from people. And I see why people get angry about that situation, because you, for all year, and this is where I'm speaking from those people here. I'm looking at it from both sides of the coin. You got those who go, well, I invested all this time for these people, for this person in particular. WrestleMania season comes along while I'm invested in this guy comes in and totally takes it away from him. Totally takes it away from me. And I can understand a wrestling fan's perspective on that. Like, okay, I invested all this time into one person, and here you come and you take it from that person. Who's to say another scenario in this story could happen? Roman Reigns could lose the belt. And the next night on Raw, usually Raw after WrestleMania or on SmackDown, Roman comes out and the bloodline turns on Roman Reigns. Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, they all decide to side with The Rock, and The Rock decides to take over the bloodline. And there could be a match at SummerSlam between a face Roman Reigns versus a heel Rock. Or they could do that at WrestleMania 41. There's so much stuff that they could do with this storyline. And actually, The Rock being in this now actually makes sense. And they're keeping us on their toes. They're keeping all of us on our toes. And that's the best thing about this whole situation. Because we don't know where they're going to pivot. Is it going to be a triple threat match? Is it going to be is it going to be a tag match in night one? And who's going to win that tag match? And then if Roman's going to win the belt, is Roman going to keep the belt and pass Hogan's date, which he's close to? Or is Cody going to win the belt, and then we're going to have a new era and this and that? There's just a lot of different scenarios that Triple H and the writers can go with. But all I'm just telling everybody is just chill the fuck out. Chill out. Go on the ride. Be entertained. Watch what The Rock does. Just see how he is on the mic. He's carrying. Right now, honestly, he's carrying Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has gotten better on the mic. Don't get me wrong, but he's carrying Roman Reigns in that bloodline. So we're going to see what happens. Stop talking shit about each other just on TikTok and Twitter or on here. Just realize that people have a different opinion than you. Okay? You know, you come on to people's chats and their videos and you start talking about what you say is not going to change someone else's mind. You know, Undertaker and Hogan have both been two of my favorites of all time. And I've had friends say some bad shit about Hogan. It doesn't change my opinion. I know Big Remington, shout out to him, is a big Sting fan. If someone says some shit about Sting, you think that's going to change Remington's idea? Hell no. I know Dark Horse and Poston are both big Rock fans. You think talking shit about The Rock is going to change their opinion? It's not going to happen. That's just how it is. But I'll be back for some more videos coming up soon. Got some things that I want to work on. I'm kind of in the mix now, working on them, so you guys will be able to see that. I'd like to get a panel together, see if we can talk about this situation. But until then, peace and love. Like, share, and sub. Hit that little bell for all notifications if you like the wrestling content part, or if you don't like the wrestling content part. I'm going to start doing movie reviews. I'm going to start doing more comedy skits. We're going to start doing more music stuff on here. So we got a lot of diversity things that we can do on here. So I'm out.